Tonight on the Mac of the Future Go livecast, Ars Technica walks through the new iPad's processor, and it's impressive. iPhone XR sales are huge, except when they're not. MacBook Air has a replaceable battery somehow, and that new case for your iPad Pro means that your pencil is impotent. Tonight on the Mac of the Future livecast. Yeah. Oh, there I am. Oh, I'm back. How'd that happen? Okay, we have there's all kinds of background. I don't know what's going on in this show. I've already lost. Okay, you need to turn off the website. It's just bleeding through. But everything is happening for a reason. I just don't really know what that reason is. But regardless, I do have a couple people here with me today. I have Warren Sklar, and I have David Ginsburg. Hello, gentlemen. I use that term loosely.
How's it going?
Hey.
Yeah.
There you are.
What's
going on?
Well, first off, because I just made a new one, we have to talk to Warren first. Hello, Warren. You're live from the White House, but in hiding.
No. How you doing? Welcome,
pretty good.
Welcome to post-election day. How are you?
Yeah, thank God that's all over. Boy, got a frog in my throat.
Over, under, done.
Yeah, and we have someone here with us who has gone out and spent an insane amount of money. He's got a new iPad Pro. Is that the 11 or the 12.9?
It's the 11.
Okay. Actually, you know what? If I was going to get one, and there's no guarantee that I won't, that would probably be the size that I would be looking at. Would be the 11-inch.
Yep.
And what kind of storage does it have?
256.
Whoa.
That's enough.
Fine with that. That's plenty for me.
Yeah. Well, now the bottom end is what, 129 or
64.
64.
So it's 64. God, why would they have one with 64? 64, 128, 256, and then 1 terabyte.
No more 128. Goes right to 256.
64, 256, and 512.
Okay.
That's why I went to 256.
Yeah, it's almost like Apple planned it that way.
Well, the gal that helped me at the store, I literally got home from the store, like I told you guys before we went on air, not even 40 minutes ago. She told me that the 1 terabyte ones were flying off the shelf, which I was like, really?
Yeah, I don't get that.
I don't get it. Why? I mean, but maybe probably because they're video editors. You know, they're doing a lot of video editing, and they think they're going to be doing a lot of that on an iPad. So.
Yes. No. I had a 64 for the 10-inch. My 10.5, I had a 64 with iCloud.
Hey, Frank is here with us.
Hey, Frank. Yes, sir. With the so with the iCloud photos and iTunes library, it was fine. Yeah.
Me too. Mostly what I use the onboard storage for is to put on like movies and stuff as I travel, in case I don't have good Wi-Fi. Other than that, because I got the cellular one, iCloud data seems to work fine. Now, how that would work if I was doing something like in Luma Fusion, which is I don't know. Have you guys ever heard? Have you heard of that program? It's like a high-end iOS movie editor. It's got like 3 video tracks, like number of audio tracks. You can do. Basically, it's a relatively full-featured video editor, and it's
somebody was
like
asking
$20,
that
something like that. Yeah, I know, and that's and when I started looking into movie editors for iOS, because the one I was using before was from I want to say it was from Corel, but I think it got bought out by somebody else. When I went to the last Macworld Expo,
they made WordPerfect, right? Corel.
Yeah. But you can't edit video in WordPerfect.
You can't type documents in WordPerfect. You can't do much.
Just
You can't
thought
install
I'd
WordPerfect.
bring that up. Yeah.
Corel bought WordPerfect. I don't think they created it. But...
No,
they had their own Office suite. I can't remember what it was called. Corel Office, something original like that.
Yeah.
Still exists.
Yeah, but they had an iOS movie editor, and for the life of me, I can't remember the name of it. But then they sold it to somebody else. But that was the one I had been using, and it had 2 tracks. It had an audio track, and it had an effect track for audio. And at the time in 2014, I was like, "Ooh, that's like some really cool crap." But now it's like, why would anybody use garbage like that? So, you know what? I forgot to put on a hat, so people can tell that I'm bald. There, that's better. All right. See, now I've fooled everybody. Everyone is fooled into thinking that I still have hair. Hello, Damon. And Mike. Yeah. Woo! I'm thinking Omen. Damon from the... All right. I work really hard at this stuff, guys. You've got to play along here.
Okay.
All right. I don't really work that hard. Stuff and things. Okay. We've got some stories here. The first one is from I've already made it so I should put this there. There we go. It's from ARS TECHNICA, and they sat down along with some other websites and tech press to talk with Apple about the A12X processor that is in the iPad Pro that Mr. Ginsburg has, and we don't, but we're not jealous. No, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Ah!
The tab.
You know what? It has that new A12 processor smell to it too.
It does. It's like a new car. So the A12X processor, how much power can you pack into a 7 nanometer processor? Quite a lot. It seems Apple claims that the A12X is as good graphically as the Xbox One S console without fans. At its core, see what I did there? It has 8 of them, 8 cores, 4 dedicated for performance. Whoa, we just lost a bunch of people. You guys still there? Oh, what happened? Oh, man, Mimo just took a big dump. There they are. They're back. What happened?
What did you do to me?
I didn't do anything. I was talking, and all of a sudden, everybody disappeared. It's like, you left me all alone. Don't do that.
Do I have internet still? Am I still here?
No, it was both of you at the exact same time.
I looked at the recording. Weird. I saw the recording, and I saw me and Dave
winked out of existence.
Yeah.
It was like I'm Genie. Blink, and you were gone. All right. So, Major Healy. So, wow. How do I get back on track after that?
Yeah.
So it's got this. The A12X has 8 cores. It has 4 dedicated for performance and 4 for efficiency. And I believe they have 6 cores for graphics, or is it 4 cores for graphics? A lot of cores. There's so many cores.
It was 7.
Okay. Sure. So anyway, and they can all be going at the exact same time. Single core test. Now, if you go to this website, and I got the link down there at the bottom. If you go to the website, they have the benchmarks for everything that they did. They tested it up against Apple's machines. They tested it up against a Dell XPS all-in-one, a Samsung tablet, and I think a Google Pixel phone, all kinds of stuff. So Single core tests have it nearly match Apple's own MacBook Pros and iMacs, and it beats the Dell all-in-one, and literally it destroys the Samsung tablet. I mean, it just wipes it out.
Surprise!
That's easy. Yes.
But this is. I mean, these aren't. I don't believe that these are benchmarks from Apple. These are benchmarks, I think, from ARS Technica. Now, when you get to the multi-core tests, it doesn't do as well as like some of the other machines, which I guess isn't a huge surprise. But we're talking about a piece of silicon that is only 7 nanometers with multiple cores and all the rest of that, and it's beating some serious hardware. It also bests older iPads in multi-core tests, which I guess isn't a really big surprise. Now, are you guys looking at this information on the site?
Mm-hmm. I've seen it.
Okay, well, it's
for me. It's hard to know without having like Mac OS or Windows running on an iPad. It's hard to compare to anything else, or Android. When you start comparing hardware to operating systems, you can't make visually you can't make a comparison. You could run programs on the iPad and say, "Ooh, that's fast. It's running fast," but you don't know how it would run.
Aren't they? I mean, these are tests that are made to work within the operating systems in which they're running to test the hardware. I mean, isn't that about as close as you're going to be able to get without every single one of them running the same OS? I mean, you're not going to put the Mac OS on a Dell, and you're not going to put iOS on a MacBook Pro. So you got to test it with something.
The point is with iOS and with an iPad, it could be 100 times faster than it is now, and with that, what are you actually comparing it to other than another iOS device? Because you're even older iPads that had weaker processors, when you open up applications, they open up pretty quick.
They do.
Whereas so you're not comparing. You're not visually comparing. If I had the iPad Pro in front of me right now, and if I had my Mac Pro in front of me right now, I can't do tests on both ones and without doing a benchmark and say, "Oh, this iPad's so much faster." Because
isn't that what they're doing though? I mean, they're running.
Because they're measuring a benchmark, yes, but they're not. It's not a real world test.
Well, it's as close as you're going to be able to get it without everything being exactly.
But what is the benchmark? But the benchmark doesn't mean anything to me. Yes, it's fast. It's a faster iPad than it was before, but it's not. It doesn't make any difference to me if somebody says, "Why don't you use that instead of your laptop?" I can't make the comparison that's so much better or faster because I'm not running the same programs. I'm not doing the same operating system. I could compare my 2018 MacBook to my 2008 MacBook. I could compare kind of Windows to Mac because it's an operating system. But to compare an iPad or iOS device to
these are just raw performance numbers. It's not like they're saying we're going to take a program that runs on all three of these devices and
I know what the benchmark is, but the benchmarks when you go cross-platform don't mean that much when you're comparing a benchmark within the same platform. To me, it's not that impressive. It's and Damon makes a good point too, is they optimize each device for software that runs on it. So if you're running iOS and they put Office on iOS, it's going to be optimized for Office, and that for iOS. So the point is the faster iOS device to me is not that important as a faster computer, because
what's a computer?
Yeah, yeah. I'm just saying, I don't think that the benchmarks mean much when you're comparing an iOS device to different devices.
Okay. All right. Well, then I guess we'll have to agree to disagree. I think these numbers are significant, especially when you compare them. Well, and exactly as you were saying, when they were comparing them to older iPads.
That's different. Yeah. So if you compare a benchmark to an iPad Pro to the regular iPad, that's a thing. I mean, you're comparing one version to another.
I mean, you're looking at that chart that's comparing all the iPads. I mean, I
want to compare an iPad Pro to an iPod Gen 5, and then we'll get some real information there.
The question is, again, if somebody comes up to you and say the benchmarks on this iPad is comparable to your MacBook Pro, what does that mean?
Well, in real world, it doesn't really mean anything because you can't.
That's what I've been saying.
That's what he's saying. Yeah.
We're just talking. I think we're just the whole point of the tests and the benchmarks was simply to look at the raw power of the processor in each one of these computers as best they could with the differences in the OS and all the rest of that.
Right. But again, if you say the iPad is a billion times faster than is it?
No, I'm saying that it's fast. It's really fast. It's
fast, and it's faster than it was before. But to say it's faster than a Windows computer,
it's so fast,
or a MacBook Pro, is it really that much faster? We don't know. Its hardware is faster. The chips are faster, but the software running on it is completely different.
Okay. Well, we're gonna move on to the next story. And it's that iPhone XR sales are huge. No, wait, they're cutting production. This was the story from Apple Insider, and this kind of goes along with my whole problem with analysts in general. According to some analysts, prior to the release of the iPhone XR, demand was thought to be incredible. Then it was released and analysts said demand was soft. Now they're saying cuts are occurring in production because of that soft demand, or is it because of component and circuit board issues? I mean, they honestly have no idea. And they put out this information like it's freaking gospel. People are basing their financial investments on what these people are saying, and we don't know if they're saying it because they have a vested interest in having a stock go up or down, or whether they're saying it because it's in the best interest of their client to give them the most up-to-date information that they can gather. Either way, it's just, Apple gets the kind of scrutiny that I don't think any other company does, and I don't really understand it. And it's not just because they're this big, huge company. It's been this way since the early 90s when they first started having financial difficulties. They were being judged by a different standard, really, than almost any other company that was out there.
But look what the Apple said after the earnings call. He says we're not going to announce numbers anymore.
And they had a field day with that as well.
Yeah, I'm sure.
The thing is,
the stock went down like $12, and now it's $12. It's all right back up again. So,
yeah,
I mean,
and what company releases the kind of data that Apple has in the past?
A lot of companies limit it.
When they announced in sales of hundreds of thousands, how many iPhones they sold, how many Macs they sold, how many of this they sold, how many of that they sold.
Tesla.
No other company does that.
Tesla.
Yeah, but they're in thousands at best. They're still working on getting a production line that isn't going to hell in a handbasket every other week.
Not a lot of companies have, Dell has thousands and thousands of products, so they're not going to. They have a lot of laptop line. A lot of companies, a lot of these other companies, Samsung, God only knows how much devices they have. So Apple's in a position where they have a
a
small
relatively limited product line.
amount of devices, and then within those devices, you have a limited amount of hot sellers, the iPhone, the Mac. So, they have more riding on a few products than other companies do. Dell's not going to come out and say we only sold 100,000 Dell XPX 13 model R3 901s because it doesn't matter. But they. What else are you going to go on with Apple? What are the investors looking for? They're looking for how much product they sell and how much service they sell.
Right.
And Apple did not confirm these. This. Did they confirm that this production is slowed down?
No, they never do.
It's all speculation.
And all right, and this is the other thing. I was going to wait for the next story. Every single one of these websites that are professional websites that have professional stories and reporters and all the rest of that, at the end of their stories they always say the same thing. We have reached out to Apple for a quote and we're waiting for a response.
Yeah, exactly.
And how often does that happen?
Always.
Never. Apple never comments on any of
That's
this.
why I said they always never comment.
Exactly.
Unless you're Bloomberg saying something stupid.
No, and then they're banned by Apple.
Yeah.
Then
I don't blame them. I don't blame them for doing that. It's like you know what? It would be the same thing. I wouldn't be surprised if they did the same thing to like Business Insider, which has just run negative story after negative story after negative. And after a while, if I was CEO of a company, it's like, I've got people beating on my doors to come in and see the new products that we're releasing and talk to me and talk to my various teams and all the rest of that. And, I'm not looking for a whitewash. I'm not looking for, the rainbows and unicorn stories, but at least be a little balanced, and not just have the same crap over and over and over again and then expect me to roll out the red carpet when you show up at my door.
Yeah.
Screw Bloomberg, screw Business Insider, screw all of these sites that have nothing better to do than to take raw analyst data, which typically is over or under exaggerated in one form or another.
But Apple will end up not talking to anybody at that point. So, I mean, there's...
It's not it's not. I don't think that's true. Like they're beating on Apple's doors. Apple releases puts out a press release saying, we're inviting the press to show up at our door because we're going to release some new product. You've got websites out there that drop everything to come and see whatever the hell it is that Apple's going to do, and maybe it's something as stupid as iPod socks, but they're there. And
let's go back to the socks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The socks. But when you've got companies that are just going out of their way looking to be negative, it's like, okay, you know what? We don't need you. We don't need to have you report on our stuff. Go ahead. Keep doing your negative reporting. Screw you. Who needs you?
Yep. No, it's just crazy.
How do you
do
they're good at ignoring it. And then obviously a Bloomberg thing was like kind of like, that was too much. A big newspaper or firm came out and said basically that your servers are, hacked, and they didn't like that. So, I mean, that's, a lot different than facepalm guys on YouTube with the caption, Apple has a big problem it can't fix. Because that's everything. Basically, is this guy, Apple has a huge problem it can't fix. And, Apple's not going to deal with that. They don't deal with those people. They're not going to deal with the no-name brand.
But those people don't have millions of people that are looking at their websites and buying their newspaper and paying for, their analytical. God, I'm so pissed I can't even think of the freaking word. Because people are paying Bloomberg for this kind of information, for this kind of minutia.
Yeah,
and if it's crap. Yeah, and if it's crap, then why should Apple contribute? Why should Apple even bother? Screw them.
I like that, Justin.
Invite a few more people from the Wall Street Journal, or from the Washington Post, or L.A. Times, or something along those lines. You don't need Bloomberg.
You know why iJustine is great. You know why Justine?
Yeah, Justine is there.
Okay. You know why she's great? Because she just uses it. It's basically she's trying to be a typical user, right. And basically she reports on the look, the feel, and and that's it really. And that's what that's what Apple likes, because Apple, it's a fashion thing. Apple wants people to love the product, of course, and that's what
it's a lifestyle choice, darling.
I mean, she's got 7 million followers on YouTube, so she must be doing something right. So
it's just pleasant.
She's fun to watch, and
she's not there to complain about things, and she's not there to say this is perfect, but it's a real thing. So,
all right.
Whereas these facepalm guys are trying to get the clicks, and that's the problem.
Yep. Okay. Well, they all suck, and they're
not pretty like iJustine. No.
That's right. They're not pretty like me.
Look
at his profile.
No, I'm the facepalm guy.
All right. Well, to try to take that out of everybody's mouth, we are going to take a little break, and when we come back, we have at least 2 more stories and more stuff from Warren, David, and myself. So you guys just hold on. We'll be right back. Wait, where is the button? I can't find the button. Are you a new Mac user or an old hand? Wish you could know the ins and outs, keyboard shortcuts, or hidden tips and tricks to make you more efficient using your favorite computer? Hey, it's your lucky day, because Edward Eisen has written a great guide to knowing more about the Mac and the OS that it runs on. It's called This is the Light Side, and it's available through Apple's iBookstore or with Amazon. Better yet, it's not a stuffy old book that gathers dust on the shelf once the next operating system is released, because it's an ebook that you can look at any time you want. It won't get outdated because it's continuously being updated. Information on setting up your new Mac, installing and getting rid of applications, security settings and what to look out for, keyboard shortcuts, some basic app recommendations, how to use Windows on your Mac, if you really want to, that is, advanced topics, searching, using iCloud, and much more. All this for a mere 99 cents. Go to the iBookstore or Amazon and check out Edward Eisen's This is the Light Side. It's the book you want on your virtual shelf. Yeah. Whoops, forgot to turn that off. Sorry. There, it's gone. All right, we're back. Hello, people that are back. So we blasted that to hell and back. We have two more stories to talk about, and this next one intrigues me.
Yep.
I'm intrigued. Where is it? I gotta find the little button. There's the button. MacBook Air battery replaceable by mere mortals. Internet explodes. This is a story from MacRumors.com. And they say that in the new MacBook Air, the battery is individually replaceable, which is certainly much better than it was in the past, where if you had to have the battery replaced, Apple would have to basically take off the entire top of the machine, toss it to the side, and then put a new one on. Have either one of you ever owned an Air?
No, I haven't.
I have.
Which one did you have, the 11 or the 13? Or both?
Both. I've had both.
Yeah, I kind of liked the iPad Air in 2010, 2011.
MacBook Air?
Yeah, the MacBook Air. What did I say? iPad Air?
I don't know.
MacBook Air. Some kind of Air. I like air. Breathing
we all like air.
is a good thing.
I actually love the 11-inch one. I had the 11 for a while, and it was great. I loved it. It was small. The keyboard was full size. Good one.
What was it? I mean, other than the keyboard, I mean, how was its performance as compared to other devices that you used? Or is that not really wasn't really a concern with a laptop like that?
Generally, I think I had those as my travel laptops. So
Right.
in my life, I generally have one main laptop, and then I have like a travel laptop. So generally that's how I've been going. So I've had the 12-inch MacBooks. I've had the Airs. I'm interested in a new Air just to have something to travel with, because I want something big with a big screen, but I don't want a desktop.
But what's your main computer now at home?
Right now, for me, I just bought a 15-inch MacBook, 2018.
Okay, so
Pro.
why can't you just travel with that?
Because it's huge.
Oh, it's not that big.
The 15-inch thing?
Yeah.
It's huge. Yeah, not traveling with that.
I travel with it. It's not a problem.
Well,
No.
In fact, 2 weeks ago I traveled with two MacBook Pro 15-inch.
Well,
Why
that's
two?
the other thing too. Is
did you?
when I
Was it
travel-
like a
work and-
sandwich?
I
Sandwich. kind of
sandwiched
thing?
them. It was work and play.
Yeah, that's too much to carry. I can't do that. So
Well, couldn't you have just taken like a partition hard drive for the work one and boot off? Oh wait, no, you can't do that with Mojave anymore, can you?
no, you could do it now.
Do they both have to be AFPS?
No.
What's the limitation?
You have to change in the new MacBooks on 2018 with the P2. You have to boot into Command C, and then there's a startup. There's startup security settings where it says allow boot from external devices. You have to change it now, and then you can boot up to something else.
Oh, okay, all right.
Big
I was
change.
under the. All right, who has people at their house?
Dave.
Yes.
Dave.
The wife is right next to me. I told her, near her laughing.
Well, see,
Tell her
now
no,
she has
Kathy.
to come on screen. Now she has to
She
come
has
on
to come
screen.
on screen. No, she won't do it.
Boo.
See, this is why my wife will have absolutely nothing to do with me and podcasting. Or maybe
Yeah.
it's just me. I haven't really figured it out yet.
No,
I have on my pajamas.
she's in her pajamas. She said,
Oh,
Another time.
another time.
yeah, when
Does
you're
she
not
know
in
what-
your pajamas. Oh, wait.
When you're not in your pajamas. No.
Dave, does she know what she got you for your birthday?
Yes, she does.
Okay, tell her thank you from all of us.
Yeah. He asked, did you know what you got for my birthday?
Oh yeah, I told you to do it.
You heard that?
No, that's a good woman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
life is so much easier when you just do what your wife tells you to.
Just what my wife tells me to do, yes.
This is the secret to a happy marriage.
Does
Very
she give me
much a
permission?
secret to happy
Ask her
marriage.
if I could get
It
one
is.
too. Ask her if I
Yeah,
could get
Warren
one.
says, can he get one too?
What, a wife in
Ask
pajamas?
your wife. He said,
What?
ask your wife. She said, ask
yeah,
your
can I get a
wife.
wife that wants me to get technology? Yes, that's what I
Yeah.
want.
Oh, I thought you were just looking for a wife in pajamas, Warren.
No, that I have. I need
Okay.
a wife that says, I need a wife to come home and say, you could go buy an iPad Pro. Go for it.
All right.
Anyway.
Uh,
Yeah, let's move on. We're moving on.
Bye, Dave.
We got a couple things here. Let's see. I've traveled with a 5.1 Mac Pro and two 27-inch screens, UK to California.
Wow.
That's just nuts. I'm
That's
sorry.
That's insanity.
Yeah. And SAG issues. I don't know what that means. Never argue with wife. That is excellent advice because you will lose. It doesn't matter if you're right or wrong.
Correct.
You're
Do you
wrong.
remember the picture of the woman on the UK train with the iMac on the tray table?
No, I never saw that.
I'll pull it up.
Okay.
I'll find it.
All right. Well, in the meantime, we're going to move on. New iPad cases from third parties make charging the pencil difficult or impossible. This is a story from...
Didn't you say impotent?
There we go. Yeah, impotent. From Cult of Mac. So you ran out, Dave, and you bought an iPad Pro and a new Apple Pencil, which, if you need to use an Apple Pencil, you had to do since the old one does not work with the new in either direction. Anyway, you also get a case. You got a case for your iPad Pro because you want to protect it from damage. But there's just one weensy little issue. The case that you bought, third-party case that you bought, won't allow you to charge the pencil. Because unlike the previous pencil, which you would just kind of pop the top off and it had a little lightning connector. That's what it had, a lightning connector, didn't it? I think. Then you plug that in and you charge it that way. The new one, you just kind of put on the top of your iPad and it charges with inductive charging, which is, part of the Department of Redundancy department. And these cases that companies created for the new iPad 11 and 12.9 inch were mostly based on what they could beg, borrow, or steal from the companies that were actually putting them together, and they didn't know that the pencil needed to be on top of it in order to charge. So they did the best they could with the information they had, and now they have probably thousands of cases that if you also want to use an Apple Pencil, you can't use. So which case did you buy, Dave?
I bought the Smart Keyboard. So it is a case. It's protected. So
now, I've got... Let me find it. It's right here. Hold on. I got one of these, too. Have I ever showed you guys my Remix Mini? It's right here. This is
we don't. Put that thing away.
Oh, it's a running gag. It's a running gag.
I'm going to show you my Remix Mini in a second. So.
No. No one wants to see your Mini, Warren.
And I don't
so
have
here's the original 12.9 inch iPad Pro. And the smart connector on this, I don't know if you'll be able to see,
it's on the bottom,
to see it. Yeah, it's right there.
Yes, we've all seen it.
Okay.
As everybody goes, oh, Mike.
Yeah.
So that meant...
See the thing over there?
All the cases, including Apple's Smart Folio case, worked, but you were kind of limited to what angle that you could run it. Whereas the smart connector on the 11 and the 13 is actually in the bottom left,
right,
on the rear of it, which actually makes more sense. So Apple's case connects, and correct me if I'm wrong, David, it connects magnetically around the various sides, and you've got two different angles.
It'll go. There's two angles. It'll go very face forwarding, and then it has a slight angle for someone who has it on their lap. So it does give a little bit of a different angle. I didn't see much of it. Haven't tried it yet. I did it in the store, and it did look like it had a decent angle if you wanted to have it to be further down instead of it being face up towards you. But yeah, it has two angles.
Okay. Whereas all the other ones only had one because
right.
You were somewhat limited because of how the smart connector was situated.
Right.
So there hasn't been a whole lot in the way of third-party development using the smart connector. Logitech had their keyboard, and a few other companies had a keyboard for the original smart connector. I don't think anyone has announced anything for the new one.
Not as of yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if Logitech's going to come up with something soon.
Okay.
I wouldn't be at all surprised.
Well, then let me ask you something. What else could you possibly use the smart connector for other than a keyboard?
I don't think the other smart connector was used for anything else much than a keyboard. That's
there was, as I'm thinking about it, there was something. I can't think of what it was off the top of my head, but it really wasn't used for anything other than keyboards. But because of how the smart, where the smart connector is actually physically located now.
I think Smart Connector was only for keyboard. I think there was one non-Apple keyboard that you also used it.
Yeah, the Logitech Create. That's what I have on this one right here.
Yeah, so there was only 2 that actually used the Smart Connector, which is strange that it wasn't opened up to more. And I would hope that the new iPad will start to get more third-party,
less expensive. Yeah, because the smart keyboard. How much was the smart keyboard, Dave?
It's not 179, I think. Yeah.
179.
Yeah, and the original one I think was 159 or 149.
It was 129, I think.
Well, that was the Logic Create one was 129. But I picked up one off Refurb for $90, I think. And then I had an Apple, the original Apple Folio case with the keyboard, and honestly, I didn't really care for it. I ended up taking it off and using the Logitech one instead. It just didn't feel right. I didn't like the mushy keys, which were the fabric-y type.
Right.
That they've used in others.
I also forgot about Logitech had that base charging stand that used the smart connector. That was kind of like a base so it did utilize the smart connector on the old iPad.
Bridge makes really nice keyboards.
Yeah, Bridge.
They just use Bluetooth, unfortunately. They don't use a smart connector. So
I had one. I had a Bridge for I want to say the iPad 3, and it was huge though. It was so big and so heavy that I ended up, and I started having problems with Bluetooth on that one. For I would either get delayed keys, I'd be typing and all of a sudden I'd be like, oh, what's going on here? And I would just see text zooming across.
Yeah. But that's common for Bluetooth. That happens all the time, even on computers.
I don't see it. I haven't seen it on this Logitech one. It's been like super reliable. So
I got one for free, a Bluetooth keyboard for free for something, and that was like, you tap it, and then you go get coffee, and then you start saying doop, doop, doop. So it was. I think it's. I think. I am not a fan of Bluetooth keyboards. I like hardwired, or I like the ones that go into the connector, personally.
Yeah, I actually prefer those myself. Unfortunately, Apple is kind of moving in a different direction. They want everything to be wireless. Unfortunately.
Yes, they do.
Okay. Well, that's all the stories I've got for tonight. Do either one of you guys have anything that you want to talk about before we call it a night?
Dave's going to do an unboxing for us right now, right?
Well, let me. I'm going to put you on the spot here, Dave.
Yeah.
I'm going to put you full screen. Okay, you're full screen.
I am not unboxing.
Come on, take it off.
I'll take
it off.
Here.
You look almost like I just did.
Look.
Oh.
That's nice.
And they said this box was very hard to open. See? I better be careful I don't drop it. There it is.
Is it in like a...
It's in its plastic.
Ooh, smell it. Smell it.
Yeah, it smells me. Wait.
There's more.
Look at that new fast charger. It's a lot different. Is it?
Oh, that's so great. Yeah.
How quickly does it... Now, that's the USB charger. Obviously, since it uses USB-C now.
There's the USB cable. USB-C, USB-C. So I will see how fast it really charges.
Okay, well, I don't know if it would be fully charged. They probably fully charged it before it left China, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's still going to be fully charged now.
Yeah.
All right.
Let me see if there's any... Let me check for stickers. Do they have stickers on this one? May not.
Oh, don't tell Podcastage.
There's
Do you
no
know who
stickers in
Podcastage
here.
is
Oh man,
on YouTube? Do you guys know who Podcastage is?
does he like collect
Stop
stickers?
calling it.
No, he does. He does a lot of microphone reviews, and he's really good at it. Young kid, and so I follow him over on the tubes. He's a nice guy. I've had a couple of conversations with him. So if you guys are looking for someone that like does lots of product reviews in relationship to audio, check out Podcastage. He does some good stuff. A little bit.
Oh no,
No, he's not iJustine.
I didn't mean to do that.
Oh, it's Sunday at 9.
Yeah, it's way over here.
Oh, make it stop! Make it stop!
Look, the Apple TV remote was in the way.
Siri. Ah.
All right,
Turn the TV on. Help.
Warren.
They're all talking to me now. All my smartest are talking to me.
I'm hearing like a feedback.
You're hearing the feedback. All right,
My
Dave.
Siri and my
Say goodnight, Gracie.
not yet, not yet. Dave, if people wanted to get a hold of you, is
Yes,
this all the ways they could do it? In touch with
website?
iOS?
Yes, In Touch with iOS, my podcast, intouchwithios.com. I also do a horse racing podcast, Off the Charts, horseracing.com. And on the Twitters, DaveG65.
And what about you, Mr. Warren?
I am
Facebook.
on Facebook. Yes, find me on Facebook.
Okay. And if you want to get a hold of me, you can reach me, Guy, at mttfgo.com.
No.
Possibly. Probably the best way is Guy at mymac.com. I need to change that. And of course, I am on the Twitters where I am MacParrot. See, I just knew that was going to happen. So thank you all. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Tune in again next Wednesday, probably, when one or more of us will do another Mac to the Future Go live cast. Say goodnight, David.
Good night, David.
Say goodnight, Warren.
Good night, David.
Oh,
Good night,
nice.
Warren.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Bye.
Yeah.